right, so she's ported up and she's assembled. I'm kind of nervous. So my initial plan was to be kind of conservative, I guess you could say, with the port work, and just do kind of some minor modifications. Well, that kind of flew out the window. So yeah, the port work is a little more on the radical side, and ports are, well, I mean, I'm kind of worried that the exhaust port might be too wide. It might hang a ring. I've got her widened up pretty good, but I did round it off considerably. It's not a real flat top on the exhaust roof. I did kind of round it off a bit. I will show you the numbers here, the final numbers here at the end of the video, just because that's over there and I'm getting ready to fire the saw. So we'll wait to the end of the video here and I'll show you what the final numbers are. But what do you say we go ahead and see if this thing will fire up, and see if it'll fire up without eating a ring or any of that sort of stuff. So what do you say? Let's give her a go. I'm a little nervous. I've been kind of sitting on this for a little bit just because I'm afraid of what's going to happen. But here she is. She's assembled. Let's see what happens. I almost forgot, this is not built for like a super high compression style or anything like that. It's basically built to consume large quantities of fuel. And we're going to try to make power through the consumption of fuel more so than the higher compression. So it's a little bit different style, and this can be a little more difficult. It just depends on what you're going for in the end, you know what I mean? So it is sitting at a 40,000 squish and all that sorts of stuff, like I told you before. So let's see what happens. I'm stalling. Alrighty. She's not even trying. Let's see if we can get a prime. All right, so she runs, but not correctly. So we're gonna do a timing advance and see what happens. Alrighty. All right, I advanced the timing a little bit. We're gonna see if that improved the way it runs. And I can tell you the way it's running right now, I'm afraid I might have built a race saw intended to cut like 8 inches of wood and not like 20 inches of wood. Let's see how she acts now. That actually feels more like an impulse issue. Like I'm losing impulse as RPM increases. So that definitely feels more like an impulse issue than anything. I think you guys are getting kind of an idea of how she's going to run. She's going to be definitely a higher RPM screaming machine. All right, I promised you the final numbers, so we'll just go ahead and go over them real quick here from the start. We started out with 102, 132, 73. Straight from the factory. That was the cylinder was removed, put back on, and just held in place. It was not bolted down, so it was just kind of sitting in place. Then we removed the base gasket. We went to 105, 135, and 76. And that's just, without the base gasket. But then I bolted the cylinder down to start playing with squish. And when I bolted it down, the timing numbers went to 104, 134, 75. So, there's like a 1 degree difference here just from bolting it down. Then we went to machine work. So after the machine work, we went to 105 exhaust, 135 transfer, 81 intake. And the 105, 135, they're basically the same as over here, and that's because of the pop-up I cut into the piston. So those numbers ended up coming out the same, but the intake went to 81 because of the machine work. Then I started porting on it. We took it to 100 roof. I did not touch the upper transfers. I did some finger work to it and put it at 124 at the fingers. I didn't really do anything to the transfers, and the intake stayed at 81. So we're 100, 124, 81. Then I did a piston modification, which took it to a 96 roof. Stayed the same on the transfer, and then 82 because of I just did a touch of work to the bottom of the piston, which ended up taking it to 82. So that's where the numbers are currently sitting. All right, so you're going to notice some things with this video. This video took several weeks to complete. So you've seen that issue there where the impulse, I was having issues with the impulse. Here, whenever I assembled the saw, I had the impulse line pinched. So yeah, we have some impulse issues. But I'm getting ready to throw a bar and chain on this and try to put it into wood. So we're going to see how this porting happened. But the next couple of videos might be a little confusing because of in the timeline or something, because some of them I made earlier than others, and you're going to notice that sometimes I've shaved and sometimes I'm not, and so you're going to notice it. But I'm going to try to put the videos out in order of the saws. So you're going to see echo videos, and then you're going to see alcohol videos. So I'm trying to stay within a certain timeline here, or a certain saw, I guess you could say. We're going to try to keep them grouped by what saw I'm working on at the moment. So I'm going to throw a bar and chain on this. We're going to take it to the wood. Do your best to try to keep up with it, I guess. Alrighty, let's get this thing barred up. So we're going to put this thing in the wood now. Just one thing I want to make a note of here is we're at a performance level, or at least I'm hoping, that we need to avoid running it a lot. Once I see that I've got it, I need to basically shut her down and wait till the races. You know what I mean? I don't want to run it too much. I'm hoping the RPM are at an extreme level, and I don't want to tear the engine apart running at such a high RPM before the races. I have another top end for it sitting here, but if we blow the crank or something, I guess I do have another crank here, but that's something I want to avoid that. So once I hit my goal, I need to keep it at that. Now, right now it is running on the methanol, and in the end, I do plan on running it with methanol and nitropropane additive. So hopefully, if this works today, you're going to see 1 or 2 more test cut videos, but they're going to be short. We're talking, if this works, we're making like 3 to 6 cuts today, probably. That's about it. So it's only got like a half a tank of fuel, so it may not last much more than 3 cuts. This thing is consuming so much fuel right now that I almost need a garden hose to supply it in fuel. You know what I mean? So a half a tank is not going to last very long. We're just going to try to get an idea today if I need to work on it anymore. You know what I mean? So we're going for that log over there. Probably, I don't know, 10 inches. Now cross your fingers, because I'm trying to achieve a whole new level of performance that I've never done before. So this is kind of a scary moment for me to see if I pulled this off. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a turd, you know what I mean? So here we go. Let's see what happens. I do have my tack ready, just so I know, you know what I mean? And I already started it, so it should be warmed up. Can you see it? A little bit of smoke coming out the muffler. I have so much fuel plowing through it. That's the extra oil burning off in the muffler. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it as is. I don't think I'm gonna go anymore. The chain needs some attention. It's a little dull, so not a lot. I can just tell it's not a fresh sharpening. That thing's been ran a lot without a sharpening, so it definitely needs a sharpening. But let me tell you what our tack results are. Alrighty. I have like a sigh of relief. It ran, and it did pretty decent. So, man, you have no idea how much of a sigh of relief this is. I really didn't want to have to tear this engine down again. But okay, so our tack results are 13,200 to 13,600. I'm going to say somewhere in there. That's where our cutting RPM is running at. I could use a touch more torque, but I think whenever I throw the nitropropane additive in it, we're going to get that torque back that I was hoping for. So yeah, I mean, whatever those cuts were right there, that tank is down to the very last drops. I can see it. You know, it's one of those tanks you can see through. It's down to the last drops of fuel. So that was a half a tank of fuel, what you just seen there. This thing just eats fuel like nothing else. Free rev is just shy of 16,000. Like 15,960, I think it was. If I remember correctly, 15,960 RPM free rev. And then the cutting RPM, it was 13.2 to 13.6. I'm happy. I'm not touching it. We'll throw some nitropropane additive in it, and we'll make another test cut on the next video of this saw, and I'll give it a fresh sharpening so we have a better idea. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not touching the thing. That's about all more I'm gonna do, and we're gonna call this saw done for the races. I don't want to push it anymore. I want to make sure this thing actually makes it to the races, you know what I mean? So this video took me a month to make. We started out where we ported it, did all that stuff. I had issues, sat it on the floor for 2 weeks because I didn't want to touch it. And then I decided to pick it up today, and I figured out that the impulse line was crushed. Whenever I put her together, you know. So if you're not familiar, I ran a custom intake or a custom impulse setup on this. It's running a 460 carb, and you have to put the impulse well, there's different ways, but I'm actually running the impulse into the bottom of the carburetor. A lot of people will run it through the carb or through the intake boot, and I eliminated that part of it. I'm running the impulse through an impulse line into the bottom of the carb, which requires you to make all new throttle linkage and everything. But I ended up, when I was sticking all the pieces to the air filter together, I ended up flattening out the impulse line, so the saw was trying to run with that impulse. But I'm happy. I'm tickled right now. Don't even think for a second that that thing will pull a 24-inch bar, because it won't. It's just not going to happen. But for what we're going to use it for, you know, at the races, she gets her done. In fact, we're doing this without any air filter. I mean, we're still running the stock air filter. The only thing I did was I cut a piece out so it would breathe easier. You know what I mean? I could drill holes into the cover. I could put a velocity stack on it. There's a lot of stuff I could do that would probably help this thing. But right now, it's like an alcohol fueled sleeper saw, I guess you can call it. You know what I mean? So I'm quite happy with the results. We might just run it like this, but I might actually just drill some holes into it. I don't know. We'll see how things go here, but I'm completely fine showing up to the races like this. Hopefully the weather doesn't get really cold, because that will completely ruin me at the races, because this stuff does not like cold weather. So, you know what I mean? That's one of the things we got to be concerned about. But that's it. There she is. That's our final results of the porting. So, hey, we'll catch you in the next one. Later.